Good morning. Um, so yesterday I struggled with that multiplexing bug like crazy, like the entire morning stream basically, and then some afternoon stream, and then some more. But eventually I ended up posting a PR for it that I called multiplexing improvements because it's pretty big and it covers two things. Actually, it addresses basically like three problems with two different fixes. I've laid them out in the pull request, and yeah, I think it basically works. The Travis job went through, and I had to restart some Upware jobs. But it looks fine. I'm pretty positive. It's 136 lines added, 104 removed. But I think it's a pretty big improvement in how libcurl handles multiplexed connections. So this should be a huge gain for applications using libcurl to do HTTP2 multiplexed. Right, in particular if you're using the event-based API, the socket action function call in libcurl. So anyway, that is then a pull request that we can have leave there. And as you know, I do have a bunch of different things going in parallel, so I can have the pull request, well, the pull requests basically doing CI builds while I work on the next thing, and then I go back and fix the mistakes I had in the previous, and then I sort of round robin through the different tasks. I fixed this little pull request yesterday, which is there's a bug in the time. We have an internal function in libcurl called timediff, which returns just the difference between two times, and it doesn't work correctly if time t is unsigned, which it is on some systems. The person who reported the bug actually claimed that Windows has an unsigned time t, which I really have not found any evidence of, but still. I know that there are systems with unsigned time t's, and this is a fix for that. Oh, and it's green, so I'm going to merge that later. That's the multiplexing thing I worked on so fearlessly yesterday. I ended up making most of the fixes, I think, off stream after I streamed yesterday. But I also wrote that huge explanation. The huge explanation is also in the actual commit message, so it's there for people to read. I struggle to get this test case to work on Windows. File : / URLs are always fun, especially when I'm trying to use these C : / style paths on Windows. So the test case there is a little bit of a struggle. So I've done some retakes on that. I have this connection versus transfer cleanup job coming, and it's green now. So I think I'm going to squash that patch set into one single patch, maybe, or maybe a few commits, and then aim for merge soon. It renames little things, a few things internally, and it cleans up the separation between transfers and connections, I think, a little bit better. And then I'm also struggling to get the test case for the xutter option to actually work, and I have to basically give up getting it to work when it builds and runs with the MingW compiler and setup. So to try to make it if-def, so it won't run on MingW builds. But I don't know. I messed up my latest fix, so I just now pushed an update to that. So those are basically my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ongoing little projects. And since 6 are too few, I'm going to head straight on to the bug fix of the morning. And here it is, the 3445 bug. I'll paste it here for you. Deleting cookies no longer works. That's the description of the bug. And here in GitHub we can view the bug report. And I'm pretty sure I wrote a comment here yesterday because I had a look at it yesterday evening. So this is related to a fix done recently to accommodate to a new internet draft, and the internet draft is called HTTP BIS cookies alone, cookie alone actually. And if you read it, and you don't want it zoomed up like crazy, it's actually called deprecate modification of secure cookies from non-secure origins. It's a draft written by Mike West. He writes a lot of cookie drafts for the IETF and for a lot of web and HTTP work. Okay, but still, it basically means that if a cookie is set with a secure property, you know, the secure little flag set for that particular cookie, you shouldn't be allowed to override it or set it again on a non-secure origin. So if you, and secure, if you don't remember or you don't know, but a secure, the secure flag on a cookie means that you should only send it over a secure connection. So it's basically a way. So this draft basically says that if you set the same cookie name, first secure, and then you use this, you can't override it over an insecure connection. So basically sort of sneak in another cookie content via an insecure context if you got it set with a secure context. Oh, a bit complicated, but still. And we got support for this leave secure cookies alone basically a short while ago. Daniel Gustafsson wrote it, and yesterday or so, a day ago, Jerwin Ohms reported that we have a regression here. So the case is like this. We communicate with one server. We do one request first that sets a cookie like this with the secure option set for the cookie, and then this is then entirely without an expired time. So this creates what we call a session cookie. So it's basically, it lives for as long as the client wants it to live. A session is completely undefined when it comes to cookies, but it's when it comes to browsers, it's basically forever until you restart the browser. Which, yeah, and in libcurl's case, it is similar. You have to tell curl that a new session has started for it to ditch the old one. So they could live for a long time. But okay, in this case, then we get a cookie with the secure keyword, and then we do another request to the same hostname, and this updates the cookie. The same name is foo, and or rather it clears it and it sets the expire time to a date, 1970. So it expires the cookie immediately, but without a secure keyword. And it looks like that is the explanation why this fails. It appears as we will then not recognize this expiry, even though the second one is also over an HTTPS connection. So in this case, we should then not require the secure keyword in the second, and it should expire the cookie, which it doesn't. Something like that. It's not crystal clear. I am going to start off writing a test case that tries to mimic exactly this case. So I want to set a cookie on an HTTPS site in one request, and then send another request, and then the cookie should be used, and in the other requests I want it to get expired, and I guess I need a third request to then verify that it actually doesn't send the cookie anymore. Optionally, I save the files in a cookie jar. No, sorry, I save the cookies in a cookie jar and see if they are removed or updated. So okay, I'm going to start out to find my mouse pointer. Where is it? I'm going to start off writing a test case. Test cases in curl are sometimes complicated, sometimes easy. In this case, I would say it is fairly easy. I'm going to do like this. Going into the tests data directory, it looks like this. Here's, if you're looking in my text editor, there are a lot of test files, 1200 of them or so. Each file here is describing a single test setup. And of course we have a bunch of cookie tests already, so I'm going to do like this and just search for, look, quite a lot of existing cookie tests. So if we look at one in particular, maybe this. This is a cookie test, but I would prefer, well, because I want to find an existing one to basically copy and start off from, so that I don't have to think so much about all the setting up logic. But I want a cookie test that actually is using HTTPS, ideally, so that I save myself that work. So these are all tests sending the set cookie header. Not too bad, not that many. And out of all these, how many uses HTTPS? How can we tell? Let's grep for HTTPS : among those that right, some of them mention this URL that we describe cookies on. I don't want to, that's not the one, that's not using HTTPS. But here we have an HTTPS user 1561. Is that really the only cookie test over HTTPS? Maybe. And 1561 sounds like a lib test. Maybe it's not. It's not. Okay, here we have HTTPS. The name says HTTP. That's not very descriptive. So if I want to run this just to make sure what it does, I can first, I should just build everything, and I shouldn't use all cores. I have 8. If I use all, my video gets stuttery, and we don't want to have that if we can avoid it. Not that it's very important that you see my face smooth. Okay, and we build the entire test suite. I would say in general, curl and the test suite actually build rather swiftly, so you usually don't have enough time to get terribly bored by the build times. And then we can run the test like this. 1561 HTTP. We should improve the name of that. HTTP replaced headers. Let's see what it does. Let's forget about this for now. Let's create my new test instead and see if I can reproduce that problem. So I want to have a unique test number. 1561 was one that I can get inspiration from. So let's make a test 1562 that's unused. Sometimes it's even better to go more unique to just reduce the risk of colliding with someone else picking random numbers. Or maybe test 1562. 1561. This is so I'll just create a new file, 1562. So I added it to the make file. I do that only to make sure that it gets included in release archives. Okay, so I created a new test file called test 1562. Name expire secure cookies over HTTPS. That's just a name that will appear on when I run it, and I want to replace our 1561 with 1562. Usually the test number for everything like this, it's a way for the tests scripts and everything to find the right files. So it'll use this 1562 file to actually run this test. So now 1562 expire secure cookies over HTTPS. It seems to work, but it's just because I copied the old and it doesn't really do what I want it to do, but it makes the old thing. So now I'm going to update it to actually do what I want to. And I'm going to take a look again at the bug report then. It basically, it just sets one cookie secure path to the root. So let's do that first. That's it. So we do first this request. It makes a request on this 1562.0.0.1. Then it will get the data 1 part as a so it will get foo123 path secure. So I'm just making sure that in the first response from the server we get a secure cookie with contents path / and in this case it will We don't need dash L. Well, I can save it for now, so we can. And we're replacing the host header to make sure that we know what and have a fancy host name. Okay, and then we'll make a second request. You know, it will, by using -c here, we will receive the incoming cookie, store it, or actually keep it in memory, and then we do a second request, which in this case is an HTTP, but we want HTTPS for that as well. HTTPS port. And we don't need 2 -c's, we can have one, and it's enough with one host header as well. So, and then if we can just do like this. This just activates the cookie engine internally, so we should. This is the second response, so we don't want this excessive second response. We want to copy the second response from the bug report. And it basically said this. Beep. It expires the foo cookie in 1970, and by max age, we sort of expire it twice, or extra hard, or both ways. Same path, but without a secure the keyword. So in this case, let's do a third request then, because then in the third request, beam number 3, there should not be any cookie in the request. So we can ask for the first one again, because we really want to make sure that in the second request there's a cookie foo123, I believe. And in the third request, the cookie should be gone again. And we don't save any cookie jars, so we don't need to verify that. Oh, let's see what I forgot. Badoom. Obviously something. Sometimes it also gets really weird when I forget like a closing tag or something in the test file. The test file is sort of XML-like, but it's not actually strictly XML. So it's a weird custom format for tests that we have. Pretty convenient, and it's actually humanly editable. So what's wrong? No, not. It shouldn't be. When it uses -b dash, it'll try to read it from standard input. It should just be non-existing. There. And this is actually excellent in that this reproduces the problem. I did a wrong new line there. It should be CRLF new line. And in the third request that we can see here, we can see that curl is sending the header the cookie in the third request, which we verify in the test that it doesn't. So this is a test. I mean, the test reproduces the bug. So it fails because right now, no semicolon there again. So now I can just go to the code and make sure that we update the code to make sure that the test goes through. Easy peasy, maybe. Who knows? So the cookie parser is in libcookie. And cookie parsing is a little bit messy in that cookie headers are somewhat unique. I mean, the format of cookie headers are unique to among all HTTP headers, so you can't really parse it using any generic HTTP header parser. So there's a specific cookie parsing logic, and in addition to that, I would say cookies have a lot of weird magic when it comes to how to match the domains part and path part and how to sort it and in which order to send cookies and blah 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 blah. So there's a lot of details in cookies that isn't immediately obvious to casual users or readers of HTTP headers. So this is I want to add a single cookie line to the cookie keeping object. This line was read off HTTP header. Yeah, here's the actual parser that parses a HTTP header. So if I want to set a breakpoint, I can rerun the test with run test -g. I could set a breakpoint in curl cookie add like this, boom, and just watch it, and here it is. So now this is the first cookie header received by curl, and we can see that in the here a line variable has the contents of this is the header value, the header field value. Basically this it said set cookie on the left, and here's the right side of it. And so okay, we got the secure one. This is the one that sets the cookie, and boom, here's the one that expires the cookie. So let's see what it does when it wants to expire the cookie. I'll just single step through the cookie parsing logic here. That can be fun, right? So here's line, that's the where it parses things. Here's here it'll get the name, the cookie name. It's now in the name variable, name buffer. Yeah, it's a big buffer, but cookie names are constrained anyway, so they can just be a certain number of bytes. I don't remember exactly how. But in reality, cookies are length constrained, basically because the browsers did it ages ago. So even if curl really doesn't have to have those constraints, they're there in the wild. So and then there's a what, which is the content, I guess. No, right, the content is a 0 because it said foo equals nothing. And blah blah blah, remove trailing blanks. Here it just copies the data into a new struct for the cookie, for the new, since it sets a new cookie, right? So it doesn't really know right now if it should override an existing or not, because it first sets all the details in this header in a new struct. Here it says, oh, it should parse the expire. And to parse the expire string, that's a challenge in itself. So we have a huge date time parser function for that, but luckily that is nowadays pretty stable and just reliable, so we shouldn't have to worry much about that. We parse max age, blah 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 blah. It'll loop around. Done is still not done. So, right, save the path as well. Sanitize cookie path, blah blah blah, and now we're on 682. If there's a max age, there is. Not max page, max age, and it's 0. So yeah, if it expires, oh right, we don't want to have expires 0 because it's treated as no expire time at all. So expire 1, that is enough because that's a long time ago. Alright, I can remove expired. Just make sure that whatever it got is okay by the public suffix list. Find the old. Right, check if there's an existing cookie by this name and well, all the other conditions. And I guess this is where somewhere there, see? The old is secure and this is not secure. That's exactly the problematic point. Because the secure keyword is, I mean, this particular check is valid only if we got the one without secure over an insecure connection. But do we store the true if connection is over a secure origin? So we know we can secure, can't spell true. So, haha. We know. So the condition should rather be or and not secure and not secure, right? A lot of secure in that line. That's that makes the code really unreal. Maybe I should add a little comment. If the previous cookie has the secure property and the new does not and was not set over a secure connection. That's exactly what the code does, but maybe it could help a little bit just to read an explanation. So Oh, sorry. I think I'm. It should either be secure or secure. If the previous cookie has the secure and the new does to or was set over, just making the logic make sense. So it is okay to replace the cookie if it's set over a secure connection, if the old cookie was set with a secure property. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? I'm sure there are possibly test cases. I mean, first I'll focus on getting this test case to work, because then I know that logic works, and then I'll run all the other cookie test cases and see what happens. So now I'm rerunning the 1562. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? It doesn't. So then I am going to just put a breakpoint at cookie.c:958 and just run it, because I think it'll go there. Well, at least I fixed the condition, so it's going in there the way I want it to, but does it? Wait. Okay, now I'm confused. What did I do here? I need to check the diff. A non-secure cookie. Yeah, I messed up this logic because it's not supposed to be like this, right? This is the bad case, right? The previous one was secure, and this is not secure. But the previous was secure, and this was not secure, and not secure. I better remove my comment again, it was wrong. Okay, dokie. 1562. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Yes. That's the fix. So, what about all the other cookie tests? What did I break? I might be able to run a few cookie tests like this. I use -n to switch off Valgrind just to make the test run faster. And cookies as a keyword. Badoom. 36 cookie tests ran okay. Yeah, I think we can be pretty satisfied with that. So, time to make a pull request. HTTPS, what they call a branch cookie, HTTPS cookies secure. It doesn't really matter what the branch is called. What matters is what the add 1562 there. Cookies reported by fixes 3447 for 3445 cookies allow override allow secure override when done over HTTPS. Reported by, his name is Jeroen, however you pronounce it, Jeroen Ohms. That's his name. He reported it in that bug. I did test 1562 to verify. And push the branch to Git. Switch over to the GitHub repo and it'll pop up there. Make a pull request. Kaboom. There! Well, I don't think I started, but it took like almost 40 minutes. And I'm pretty satisfied with it. A single line changed, I think. Well, single actual code change line. The pull request itself adds 76 lines, but that's also in the test case. Mostly the test case. There. There's something wrong with the IRC announcement bot for GitHub, so it no longer announces pull requests on in the IRC channel, which I find annoying because that's convenient, because I like it when the others are pushing it so I can notice it. I wonder if the... Alright, yeah, but I think it works. I think the email still works. Not that I actually think the email is very useful. So, time for me to merge this one. timediff fix math for unsigned time t. This is the branch name I use. I use so confused branch names at times that I don't really remember what I'm doing, so I can just as well copy it. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to update it so that it sets the commit message fixes, no, it closes 3449, which is that pull request. And to make things easier, I'm going to rebase it just to make sure that things are good. I'm going to check out master, and then I'm merging that branch into master. It looks fine, and I'm going to push it to push it. There. It's also pretty good to remove the local branch when I've done that, because I have so many local branches, so that I get clogged up, and I delete the branch on GitHub. Boom. One down. 29 open, and okay, here's my multiplexing. So let's see what AppWire says about it. One build, this is typically a false positive, so I'm just going to rerun incomplete. Just blindly click the button and make AppWire spend more CPU time on it, but yeah, a bit annoying with all those false positives, but still. In my first run of this, Coveralls, our coverage, I mean test coverage thing, said that the test coverage went down 2.2%, but then I just reran the thing exactly the same, and then it said the coverage increased by 0.06%. Weird. I hate those flaky things, but what can you do? We actually have since a lot of the test cases actually uses the real network, so we have an actual test server with doing TCP IP over on localhost. We have some flakiness in the test in that they're not running exactly the same thing every time, so the test coverage is actually sometimes switching a little bit back and forth. So then maybe I should just then remove Daniel from that, since I took over. I don't usually use the sign field on GitHub because it usually doesn't matter. Someone gets the thing done or doesn't, so it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I mark it as sort of, you don't need to grab this because I'm on top of it, just haven't started yet. Signal. Okay then. Closing in on a coffee break. Here we are again. We have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pending pull requests that are all mine. They are all building CI stuff right now. Yeah. I'm pretty content. I'm going to take a little coffee break and see if I can come up with, maybe I'm going, maybe we can have a little shorter stream today. I must say that you're unusually quiet in the chat today too, so I haven't really responded to anyone since nobody has said anything in the chat. Anyway, time for a little coffee, and I see you in a few minutes. I'm back. So I just wanted to mention to everyone that there are still seats available at Curl-Up in Prague in March if you're into curl and related technologies and stuff. We're going to discuss the future of HTTP on the Friday and then dive into curl and internet related stuff Saturday and Sunday, the last weekend in March. You'll find details about it on the curl site, of course. We have this little square with details, and you can just follow that little link and get everything, all the details you want about it. What's news otherwise? Today is Feature Freeze Day in curl, so starting now and in the coming 4 weeks we won't accept any new features. I mean, we will accept them, but we won't merge them into the master branch. So now we will only merge bug fixes for another 4 weeks and then do a 7.64.0 release on February the 6th, I believe. Right. And if you're curious about what is going to happen in that release, we have this release pending release notes. This is what the release notes looks like right now for the release. They will of course be updated over time. But these 5 changes listed on top are the ones that then we will have for this release, because now it's a feature freeze. We still have bugs to fix, of course. So that one seems to be we seem to be on top of that. That one I just fixed. This is I'm trying to figure it out. This might get landed. This might get fixed. It's not a big problem. This I'm fixing. This I'm asking about. This is it's not curl's fault. This I'm fixing. This I think I'm top of. So I think we're in a pretty good shape. And then going further down the bug list, they go older and harder and more. I mean, maybe more unlikely to actually get fixed in the short term. In this case, the user is building curl with configure on AIX, I believe. AIX. AIX is actually the Unix that I first used and learned back in 1991. My first contact with Unix-like systems on IBM. Back in the days. Yeah, that's a good question. People still use it, but you know, old technology never really dies. It just shrinks and goes away from the public, and then there are always a few users. And apparently this guy is using AIX, and he tries to build the latest curl on AIX 7220. I don't even know if that's new or old. But in this case, this is a regular problem with configure builds, really, and it's actually a common problem with zlib. I don't know why, but a lot of people configure zlib this way. So when they install zlib with the package config files like this, so they install zlib with package config metadata files, and when curls configure run and uses package config to figure out zlib details. Oh, look, there are zlib details with package config. Great, because it's a great way to actually figure out how to use it. And then it uses it, and whoa, what does it get from the zlib files? It gets stuff like this. This instruction, which may or may not be right, but in this case it's not right. And when using this header file, this user then has doesn't want that header file used, or that not header file, the compiler option used, because it then makes the next check in configure detect OpenSSL wrongly somehow, I think. But you know, a very interesting fact that someone noticed when I shipped 7.63.0, which is the latest curl release, you know, that was, yeah, exactly 4 weeks ago today. I typically put together the release in the morning, basically the first thing I do that the morning of the release day. And this particular release, it ended up available for OpenVMS and MS-DOS before it was available for the most popular Linux distros. I think it's speaking of are people still using blah blah blah, OpenVMS and MS-DOS. You would imagine that those are systems that not that many people are using, but they were the ones with the latest kernel release first. which well, that's fun, and that's what you can do and achieve with open source. Right, so in this user's case, then the LD flags then also adds this, I think, and I think this is the most problematic case. So he has several different OpenSSL libraries installed then, and he has one OpenSSL library installed in the same directory that he has zlib installed. So when zlib adds those headers, configure will also find OpenSSL in that path, which is annoying and hard to fix, hard to work around with configure. Well, I would imagine that actually a lot of users need curl on a lot of systems. So I'm not sure MS-DOS AIX or OpenVMS users are unique in that aspect. But then of course the question is rather if you need the latest one immediately or not. In most cases, I guess most people won't use the latest. I mean, they won't need the latest one really fast, unless there's a security fix or so. Yeah, as a little secret that I haven't mentioned yet, and I won't mention in public yet, I can do it here because you're so few are gonna, so it's a secret for you. There is a new bug bounty program coming up for curl soon. You know, we have a bit of a weird history with bug bounties in the curl project. We were previously, you could apply for bug bounties from HackerOne's internet backbone, internet bug bounty. I don't remember the name of it. IBB. If you were lucky, you could get some money from them for a curl issue, but that was really hard, and they had a really high bar for it. And then we started another one with the bounty graph, which was alive for basically 2.5 hours. Well, I'm exaggerating, it was slightly longer, but it felt like that because it died almost immediately and they shut down their operations. So we're now without a bug bounty program again, but we're working on putting one up again. So I hope to announce some new details for that soonish. I think it's pretty, I mean, it's not important to have a bug bounty program, but I appreciate being able to pay some of the, we have a bunch of users, a bunch of researchers that are more or less doing security. I mean, they're searching for security problems more or less full time. So I know for a fact that these guys are actually sort of scouting projects for projects that can pay them. Since they do this full time, they need money to get food on the table. So I know that we are actually getting their attention by being able to pay off if they actually find something. Even though I completely sympathize with the problem that we are paying some users then money, while the users who are actually fixing the problems and who are actually writing the code in the first place, they rarely get this money, which is a bit of a dilemma, but I don't have any solution for it. And I rather get good security reports now than fix the problem with funding every developer that can work on this. So different problems, but still. I'm going to close my stream early today because I think fixing that cookie bug was basically today's larger thing. And now I'm going to do some other, I have some other, I got some updates, more updates on the thanks file. Someone found more duplicate. I have an interesting user who goes around and finds duplicated names in the thanks file, so I'm going to update that and some other minor things. I still haven't been employed by anyone, mostly by choice, so I'm going to appreciate not having a paid job to have to spend on today. So I'll probably take a few days off from the stream and maybe stream again. Well, maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see what I feel like and if I get some really meaty bug reports to work on. See you later, and cheers.